Mother, man.
This is Andrea Yates. I'm off my Helidol, listening to Murder Metal Mayhem. I'm going to drown my kids later.
Spreading faster than a case of the clap in a trailer court. Able to shatter eardrums within a 666-mile radius. A podcast more brutal than all the rest. It's Murder Metal Mayhem! All right. Wow. Andrea Yates, pretty brutal intro, Joey.
Yeah.
I mean, damn.
These murdering mommies we got.
It's pretty sick.
They're ruthless as fuck.
They are, man. They are. And we are here. It's Tuesday night here at Horns High Studios on the Horns High Podcast Network doing episode 138.
We are 138. That's all I get like misfits all fucking day.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even think of that, but now that you say it.
And then Devourment did an album called 138 too. So
oh, damn.
Like, yeah.
Nice. Should be a good one. As you mentioned, Joey, our Murdering Moms of May specials.
Yeah.
This is number
round two.
Yeah. So we did an awful one last week and going to keep the awfulness going. And of course, Joey, you're here with me, but Chris, in a rare case, could not able to be here, scheduling conflict, kid stuff, doing some school-related
and
events.
His daughter's birthday.
Yeah, so he's missing tonight. But we brought in somebody out of the bullpen here, Joey. We've got someone, the 419.
Straight out the 419, ho.
Stephanie Ruskinoff from Toledo. So Stephanie, it catches a lot of crap, but you happen to live in the area where our Sugar Babe episode was done, and you were the one that suggested the Sugar Babe episode. So
was a good one.
It was. So it's funny because you've brought that, that swag with you, and you got the label now, the 419 and stuff. But it's a lot of fun, and we've been having a ton of fun with the Punky Brooks thing and all that.
A whole life of its own.
And then I posted the thing on Mother's Day. Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah.
I was dying off.
Yeah, I think your mom was like, "This made my day. This was awesome." Yeah. I was like, "Man, I wonder if somebody sees any of this stuff." I guess probably better not to ask. But Steph, I got to ask: are you drinking any McCormick's whiskey over there?
No McCormick's whiskey, but I am drinking an alcoholic beverage for Chris.
All right. And I might even, when we come back from maybe in the Mayhem, I might bust out
pistachio ale?
My pistachio ale that you brought for me. Thank you, Stephanie. It was very nice of you. Now, what shirts we were wearing here? Anybody knows the deal? They listen to the show. We talk about what kind of shirts. We got any band shirts on? Or
I have my shirt on from the Milwaukee trip that I had made with shakers on it.
Oh,
and
nice.
Murder Metal Mayhem on the back.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Very appropriate. Yeah. Very awesome. I know Bob really liked that. He thought that was really cool.
Yeah, we enjoyed wearing them. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Joey, what about you, dude?
I'm wearing a Rappaprop hoodie. Rappaprop fucking groove grind from over in fucking Deutschland. The
nice.
Dutch fucking,
got a lot of German listeners, man.
Yeah, fucking Holland, my bad.
Nice. Well,
I said
close.
Yeah,
close.
Holland. But.
Europe. Well, that's cool. And the Cubs hat on again.
Yeah. Sporting it for fucking Punky Brooks. Straight C cripping up in this motherfucker. 419, ho.
And I got my new decapitated shirt.
Yeah.
I love this shirt. It's so brutal.
The graphics.
I got something on it, and I was like, fuck. I'm like, man, but I'm talking about a woman that drowned 5 kids in a bathtub. I think it's totally fine. So, all right, well, last week, talk about the disgusting pieces of shit we've been talking about. Teresa Knorr, Joey, that was a brutal one. Killed her first husband, gets away with it, and then ends up torturing and killing 2 of her 6 kids. I mean, what a fucking piece of shit. Stephanie, did you like that episode?
I did. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, we try to do horrible hilarious.
Yes,
so
yes.
That's, of course, the object here. If you're listening to this and thinking, oh my God, how could it? You just need to go somewhere else because you're not going to like this. Tonight's going to be extra brutal, but last week was a good one. If you missed it, CK called in to talk about Corrosion of Conformity, which was cool. We did an all-female killer cage match, which we're going to do tonight.
If you're listening to this because of the Andrea Yates angle or because of her name popped up and you like this one, go back and listen to our last one.
Yeah, Teresa Knorr and other.
And then we got two more for the rest of this month.
Yeah.
More mommies. So.
Murdering Moms of May here on Murder Metal Mayhem. So, McDonald's has one M. We got 6 of them. So fuck them, So anyway, it was a good one, episode 137, and we just passed 1,000, about average for a listen or an episode coming into the new one on Tuesday. They come out Thursdays, so we're usually right around there. So if you missed it, though, check it out, and if you already heard it, thank you for checking it out.
Oh, yeah.
Tonight, though, we got a good one. We're keeping with the theme, going to Houston, Joey, Houston, Texas.
Absolutely.
Surprised I didn't think to get Tex in on this, but I know he just did one, and we're trying to spread Tex out a little bit,
And plus, we got future ones we've already considering bringing on.
Alcatraz is going to be a good one.
But you're right, though. This one would have been a good one.
It would have been because the killer cage match, too.
Yeah.
All Texas. She drowned her 5 kids in the bathtub, claimed it was due to her issues with postpartum depression and certainly serious mental illness, and that's legit. So I didn't mean to make that like it was an excuse, but they did use that in her defense, of course.
Absolutely did.
And rightfully so, because she was really having some issues there. We'll get to it. Very strange religious beliefs, which really makes this one crazy. Thought she had to kill her children to save them from going to hell.
Yeah.
So pretty fucked up. I don't know how you make that story not fucked up because, it's just awful. But, we're going to get into it tonight. And we got our season's beatings winner.
Fuck yeah.
Josh Newman coming on. Now, we're having some internet issues. There's a cell tower having some maintenance done here. And, of course, it's my cell tower.
Yeah.
And I use the hotspot on my phone to get us on the internet. So we are crossing fingers. Got 2 phones out here and a fucking a prayer that it's going to work. I don't know. So we're hoping that Josh will be on with us.
Let us not anger CCK.
That's right. Hopefully CCK will get us through. Speaking of CCK, we got CK warming up in the bullpen, ready to throw down in the metal segment. He's fired up. Going to be talking about Corzus, which I really dig those guys. I've been jamming them. I bought 2 of their CDs, and they're just fucking amazing. He's going to be, just fired up because he's been running up and down Wildman naked, throwing rocks again. He's back to the rocks.
Back to the rocks at the cars.
He's just pumped up. He's just fired up. We did the interview with Antonio, the guitarist, and super cool guy, and we're going to play a piece of that. And that's all coming up in the metal segment. So we're going to be doing all Brazil bands tonight for the bumper music, Joey. I thought that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, super awesome.
And not doing the obvious
and not
one.
Sepultura.
Not Sepultura. Nothing against Sepultura, but
there's other ones to
plenty
show
good
off.
ones in Brazil, and we're going to get to 3 of them tonight. Got a good killer cage match. We got some listeners to thank. Stephanie, would you like to thank our listeners there?
Sure. There is Samantha Cram, Rebecca Boomsock, and Steve Myers.
Hell yeah. Giving us some random numbers. So thanks, guys. And tonight, Joe, we got another all-female killer cage match and using our feature
we use
as
our
one
feature
of the women.
For all these this month. So Andrea Yates is one of them. But she's going to be battling with
Oh,
Carla Faye Tucker,
damn.
2 Texas bras.
Right?
And you don't know what the objects and variables are, so just wait. Because...
yeah, it's going to get interesting.
This could go either way.
It really could. It's going to get crazy, and that's why I said, too, when I realized I had the all-Texas killer cage match, I'm like, man, I should have called Tex. So, Tex, if you're listening, and I know you are because you listen to him, I'm sorry I didn't think of the obvious one. But sometimes that happens, just like when we did the Iceman episode, and Chris sent me the text, and he's like, I had just done the karaoke song, and he's like, dude, you got to do Ice Ice Baby. And I'm like, oh my God, how did I not think of that? Like, duh. And then I looked at the title of the episode that I titled, and it was Ice Ice Baby, and it still didn't jumping. I mean, it's just so many things going
Didn't
on.
Put it together. Right?
It gets past you sometimes. So sometimes, the outfielder drops the routine fly ball. So do I sometimes. And that was one of them. So anyway, sorry, Tex. But anyway, we'll get to the Killer Cage match in the Mayhem segment. Also hoping to hear from WVK tonight. If
the weepy
CK
voice killer.
If CK can get a hold of him, he's been training in the dungeon. He's all fired up. Old Creo called him out. That fucking crazy Cajun dude, Joey. That was kind of wild. So old Creo wants to fight WVK, and we're hoping Cajun. That was great. That was great. So CK is going to see if he can make that happen, getting WVK in tonight. If we can, that'll be also in the Mayhem segment. Also want to thank our sponsors. A huge thanks always to Spellbound Effects and Art.
Yes.
Their stuff fits this room so well with the lamp and the fucking spike with the blood, and just it's brutal. The arm with our name carved in it, just amazing. So spellboundeffectsandart.com. Go check it out. Tony Campagna is just a fucking animal.
Out of Florida.
Yeah, South Florida. He's like painting in this like small studio right on this, I don't know if it's like a bayou. I don't know what you would call it. But I could just picture it. He's out there till about 2 o'clock. It gets too hot. And then he goes back into the house. So he works early and he gets done early. And yeah, he's just a great guy. So go check his catalog out, and you'll get some cool gore. I mean, got the thumb drives, the body parts, all sorts of cool things.
Hell yeah.
All right. And then also a big thanks to Rotten Cotton, Joey.
Fuck yeah.
Sponsoring us, and Voice of Dread. Amazing catalog, some cool shirts. If you dig horror, serial killers, just satanic stuff, anything like that. T-shirts, buttons, stickers, posters, comics, graphic novels, which that one he sent is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
that bottom feeder
is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
The art in it is fucking amazing.
It's top shelf stuff, really good quality. I really like the way they do what they do. So they can score some discounts, though, Joey.
Yeah. You spend $20 or more and get 15% off your coupon code. What's that coupon code?
It is Mayhem.
Yeah.
Right. Very simple. Mayhem at the end.
Stephanie, she used the code and took advantage of that.
Yeah, she ordered some stuff, she said, and so that's awesome. And, of course, you are also a member of the 666 Club, so you know all about the cool stuff and the inside scoop, and yeah, that's a good one. So go check them out, rottencotton.com, use that code and get 15% off.
Hell yeah.
Thanks to everybody out there listening. The numbers are rolling in. The notes are off. I do them. I roll them over each week and I make the edit. It's actually 3,600 this week, so we're up a few hundred.
Nice.
So that's cool. So that's really awesome. Thank you guys for listening. Joey, got any good page of days there?
I got a few page of days today.
I mean, we talked in the pre-show meeting about the Feather Thief. Guys, all I got to say is June, first week of June, the Feather Thief. I know there's no murder necessarily,
right, but
it is one hell of a fucked up story.
There's
it's so cool.
Mayhem in it.
It is there's a lot of mayhem, and it's almost just so silly.
There's a
like,
touch of metal in it.
There is.
So
there is. I mean, a flute player that stole a bunch of rare bird feathers that plays heavy metal flute.
So Edwin Riss, the Feather Thief.
Yes.
If anybody's read that book already or seen anything about it, like we're doing that one.
And that spawned from what you're getting ready to do, page a day. So fuck yeah.
All right. So here's what I got. I think I got 4 of them today. So the first one is about the actress Teresa Saldana. She was in Raging Bull and Defiance. And
okay, I thought that name sounded familiar.
Yeah, I mean, she had a great career actually, but she was stalked by a man named Arthur Richard Jackson, and in 1982 he hired a private investigator to actually go obtain her mother's phone number. So then he called her and then fucking posed as Martin Scorsese's assistant. And he claimed
That's fucked up.
Yeah, no, it was fucked up. So he claimed that he needed Saldana's address to contact her about replacing an actress on location in Europe. I mean, it's all bullshit, but like,
oh, wow.
I mean, hey, Martin Scorsese's hitting me up and he needs somebody to.
Well,
film.
yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to do that, you know. So when Arthur Richard Jackson finally confronted Saldana in front of her West Hollywood home, he brutally stabbed her 10 times. There was a delivery man named Jeff Fenn that was there, and he's the one that tackled Jackson. And Saldana, she ended up surviving after like 4 hours of surgery and a 4-month hospital stay. But Jackson served a total of 14 years for the assault and also for subsequent threats to Saldana and that delivery guy Fenn to their lives while he was in prison.
Oh,
like he was
God.
like, I'm going to fucking kill both of y'all.
Damn, that's like some Revenant shit there.
Yeah. He was found, he was extradited to the United Kingdom for a prior robbery murder, but he was found not guilty by reason of diminished responsibility for that crime and was committed to a psychiatric hospital. Saldana went on to form the victim advocacy group Victims for Victims, and she passed away in 2016, but she basically acted up until then. But yeah, those stalking cases, the obsession cases,
yeah.
You talk about John Lennon. I mean, some of those cases are just so fucked up, you know, because these people, for whatever reason, just have such an obsession. They don't care.
Yeah.
They want to see that person dead.
Right.
Than not be with them.
It's so fucked up.
So ate up.
Yeah.
So the next one I got is, this is pretty classic because I just got back from Florida. Me and the Shawback boys went down there.
Right.
And so they always talk about all the strangest crimes occur in Florida and shit. Like, and that's for real.
Yeah.
If you hear some fucked up shit coming out of Florida,
usually,
and I heard that Ohio's like the second cousin of Florida when it comes to that shit, the Florida of the Midwest. But
Chicago doesn't disappoint though.
No, not at all. But I even had one of my buddies when I was down at the show in Tampa this weekend. He was like, "Bro, all the shit you hear about Florida, that shit's true." And it's just like,
nice.
It's fucked up. Anyway, so back in 2019, there ended up becoming this thing, and probably y'all heard of it, called the Florida Man Challenge. And if you don't know what that is, what you do is you go into your Google search bar and you type in Florida Man, and then you put your birth date right after that. And all the most fucked up stories will pop up. Yeah. So, like, some of them that came up was like Florida man arrested after hitting dad with pizza because he was mad he helped birth him. Florida man denies syringes found in rectum are his. You know, things like that. So it turns out that it's written in the laws, though, because Florida has the strongest public record laws in the country. So all arrest records, mugshots, as well as state, county, and municipal records are available to the public, including the media. So that's why they can take these and turn them into specific stories that you know, sensationalized or whatnot. So, I mean, they say that, you know, most all of these crimes may not be unique to Florida really at all, but because they have the story about it and because Florida's laws are like that,
right,
you place it in Florida and say it. They say one that probably is Florida, though, is Florida man throws alligator into Wendy's drive-through window, which I remember that one. That was
I think up. I do, too. That's funny. Oh, wow.
So I got a couple more. Again, thank you, Page a Day.
Yeah, Page a Day.
So David Carpenter. He was known as the Trailside Killer. Now, the weirdest part about this guy, David Carpenter, is he began his killing at the age of 49, which that's fucking super
That's late in the game.
Yeah, super late. So he started in 1979, and he killed 6, maybe 10, all within a 9-month span. So he's one of the classic ones that we got that fucking, you know, has a history that has like the fucking warning signs pop up. As a teen, he was busted for child molestation. At 30, he took this woman out in the woods. He tied her up, beat her with a hammer, and stabbed her in the hand. She lived, though. He got 14 years and served 9, and he was diagnosed with sociopathic personality disorder while he was locked up there.
Damn.
So he gets out. He's still raping and beating women. He kills his first person in 1979. Now, he shot most of them, although there was one lady that he stabbed repeatedly over and over and over and killed her.
Right.
So in 81, he shoots 2 people, Stephen Hurdle and then Ellen Hansen, I believe was her name. Hartle survived, and he provided a description of the person who shot him. So that was the first break that the police had of who it was.
Right.
But his next kill was Heather Skaggs, who she had told, he went out and killed her, obviously, but before she had left, she told her boyfriend that she was going to look at this car she was trying to buy from David Carpenter. So he'd obviously gave her his real name.
Oh, wow.
So the boyfriend was able to tell them that. They fucking, were able to track down David Carpenter, convict him of those, and also, saved who knows how many other people from getting hurt. Now, another classic thing about David Carpenter is, like I said, he started his killing in 1949 and 1979.
Yeah.
He was also considered a Zodiac suspect.
Oh, wow.
So, you
Nice.
never know. That's a
Right.
possibility.
Yeah.
So I got
'Cause
one
late
more.
60s, right?
Yeah.
Zodiac.
Yeah.
So,
it's possible.
he
It's
would have
fucked up.
been in his 30s. So,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
All right, so the last one I got, and this is about a case that happened back in 1982. Took 1 week, but it fucking blew up with the media. Pete, I know you remember this one, Chicago Tylenol murders.
Oh, yeah.
So 7 people ended up dying from a common link that they ended up figuring out was extra strength Tylenol laced
Right.
with cyanide.
That's fucked up.
Johnson & Johnson had to recall 30 million bottles of this, and during the sweep, whenever they came through Chicago and took everything that they had, they found more with the cyanide in them. However, nobody else ended up dying or getting it.
Jesus.
They were laced by someone who got into them at the stores. This was post-production, so this didn't happen at the plant or anything.
Gotcha.
So what they figured is somebody either got in, opened the bottles, and dosed them with the cyanide, or more likely they already had cyanide capsules that had the cyanide in them. Because this is back whenever you could just open them.
Right.
The capsules.
That's right.
They were plastic.
Right.
So where was that? Oh yeah. So this caused Johnson & Johnson to create the easy-to-swallow capsule that you see all the time now. Those are the ones you can't break away in the middle. That was the whole reason they started doing that, and that was because this shit's all over the counter.
Right.
So the possibility for somebody to fucking mess with them was definitely there. This case also caused them to start putting the foil seals over the bottles.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
So
Started seeing all that shit after this.
Exactly. So I mean, this was,
and rightfully so.
right.
I mean,
It was a big deal, and like I said, 7 people did die from this. Now, no one has ever been convicted or charged over this, but there was a guy named James Lewis, and he claimed responsibility, and he requested a $1 million ransom from Johnson & Johnson. But
Damn.
all of that was deemed a hoax. He was from New York, had zero ties, like it was all bullshit. But it was deemed a hoax. But he did get 13 years for extortion.
Oh, wow.
Now, in one last piece of info on the Chicago Tylenol murders, Ted Kaczynski was also considered a suspect, never cleared from it, since it was still an open case.
Sure.
So,
oh, wow.
crazy shit.
Yeah, very crazy
So
shit.
Page a Day, thank you very much.
Page a fucking day, man. Maybe they'll change the name to Page a fucking day. I don't
That
know.
would be awesome.
So, guys, we got a lot on our plate tonight. We're going to be traveling to the great state of Texas for one hell of a sick and twisted story, a little splishin' and a splashin' in the tub. So, Steph, what the hell do we need to do?
Let's get our murder on.
All right, that was Congasso with the song Positivo. I dig those guys, Joey, a 3-piece metal band that
From
can
Brazil.
fucking play. Brazil band. They sing in Portuguese, but it's just wicked stuff. So go
Yeah.
check those guys out. Heard about them from Antonio of the band Corzas that we interviewed. Very cool guy, and he was spreading some knowledge of some Brazil metal that we had not heard of before, and that would be one of them. So, all right, now we had a little bit of technical difficulties here. We said earlier that Josh from Noonan, Georgia was going to be on with us, and he was, but it was in and out, and he couldn't hear us. And having some connection issues. I mentioned it in the intro, and I don't know, maybe it was a combination on both sides, but nonetheless, we're going to have to reschedule Josh. I feel terrible, but obviously out of our control. So we're going to forge on.
Damn internet.
I know. So we'll get Josh on again here soon. Apologize to him for that. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the horrible case of Andrea Yates, someone who most of our listeners are going to know because it's only a 20-year-old story, actually a month shy of that. June 20th, 2001, she drowned five children one by one in the bathtub. I was thinking about, I got her mixed up quickly there with Teresa Knorr, which was killed 2 of her 6.
Yeah.
This one, all 5. And, it was definitely a crazy religious story with the, that she believed she was saving them from going to hell. She had some serious mental issues, and we're going to talk about that in detail. And some do blame the husband, Rusty, for being a major contributor to this whole situation that unfortunately ended up with 5 dead kids in Houston. Now, Joey, this is going to be one our listeners are going to know about, I would think. But, of course, we're going to do it Murder, Metal, Mayhem style.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. No, we're going to do it our way. Pull all the information we can get, give you a good old chunk of what happened with the Andrea Yates case. Unfortunately, I was saying before, too, a lot of people might know the name Andrea Yates and they realize, somewhat what they did, but the fact when you got Casey Anthony's and Susan Smith's and all those other fucking situations going on around the same time, people get the facts confused, the cases confused.
Yeah.
And that's a fucked up thing that
it
there's
is.
That much of that kind of shit.
Right.
Right. But Andrea Yates, no, this one is definitely a way, way out there fucking story.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now, Steph, it's interesting here. We're doing this female case. We've got you here with us, and I think your perspective will be interesting. And, you talk about the mental health part of this. I mean, women with postpartum depression, I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't always end like this, though, of course.
Yeah. I don't have any kids, but postpartum is, a real thing. And it did bring things to light, but at the same time.
It's so gruesome.
Yeah.
I mean, but it is a real thing. And you're right. It did bring it to light. I think it's, unfortunately, it takes cases like this to make things, come to light. I'll admit, until I watched some of the docs that I watched, I really didn't know that she had that much mental health history, mental illness history. I knew the postpartum angle, but I didn't realize the schizophrenia and all that. And
not to piss anybody off, but couple that with a heavy fucking dose of religious influence.
Oh God, yeah.
Sadly, that they don't go well together.
No, not at all. I mean, we've talked about mental illness with these cult leaders and stuff. I mean, it warps people. And the worst thing for her was to have kids, and she just kept having one after the other because her husband, we talked about that a moment ago, but he's going to be a common thread through this whole fucking mess. And I did not realize, at least I didn't remember like you said, Joey, all these stories just kind of run together. But the religious angle with this one is really crazy. So I'm definitely interested to talk about this. As we always say, we're going to do, a fucked up story in our own way, and we do it with a little humor to angle, and some people might not dig that. But if you're a listener, that's why you're here. So we're going to give you what you want, and we're going to give you the red meat tonight with this story for sure. With little kids involved, it's rough. I mean, I've got kids and grandkids, and these kind of stories are very troublesome for me. And as a writer, I don't like writing scenes where things happen to kids. I've done it a couple of times, but I don't like it. I do everything I can to work around it. But in these stories, obviously, I don't have that ability. I got to talk about it. And so if you're having mental health issues, for God's sakes, get help, reach out, let somebody know. There's thankfully, there's a lot of different hotlines and websites, and, call 911 if you have to, but just don't, leave it untaken care of. It really needs to be dealt with. And Joey, I mean, we do like to have fun, but it's certainly talking about a subject that it needs to be taken seriously.
Oh yeah, they definitely need to take it serious. Like you said, if you got problems, go get it checked out.
Right.
Do something.
Just tell somebody, you know.
Now, I'm going to say this too. If you got problems like that, like what we're referring to, maybe you shouldn't listen to our podcast either.
Right.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I think you should
Why are you listening to this?
Put the phone down and go call somebody else. Yeah. Now, Andrea Yates is born in 1964 in Hallsville, which is a small town in East Texas. She's the youngest of 5 kids. As far as I know, she had a decent childhood. She graduated valedictorian of her high school class, National Honor Society. I was in the National Honor Society myself. Friends of hers I saw in the documentaries seem to have good things to say about her and how hard she worked and how well she did in school. She did have some issues, though, with bulimia in her teenage years, depression, and at 17, it contemplated suicide. But unfortunately, I mean, all 3 of us here were teenagers at one time. You're going through a lot of heavy shit, and it fucks with people sometimes more than others. And I don't think there's any of us here that can say either ourselves or we know of people that were going through similar things like that as a teenager.
And if you're talking about her fucking teen years being the early 80s and shit,
right?
Bulimia was all the rage back then.
It was.
Because being a fucking skeleton was what was going down.
Yeah.
For real. Like, I don't know. That was crazy times.
Yeah.
Cocaine and bulimia.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Also, she said her parents held her to a very, very high standard.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
sure.
you know, when you do that, you know, your parents, you know, you never think you're good enough. So
Right.
it leads to depression. And,
I could see that.
You know, looking for an outlet and stuff
Right.
like that.
No, that makes total sense. Now, she goes to nursing school in Houston. She graduated from the University of Texas Health Sciences Center. She becomes an RN, which is definitely not an easy thing to do. The women that I know that are nurses, unbelievably smart. You know, she did really well. And from 86 to 94, she worked at a cancer center. And I know from going through chemo myself that those oncology nurses are like the best of the best. They deal with some heavy stuff. I mean, Steph, in that field especially, you're dealing with sick people. A lot of them aren't going to make it, and that's got to be a tough thing. So her doing that, in my opinion, you're in the medical field, but would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Oncology nurses are one of the most caring, you know, most genuine nurses that there are.
Right.
I think what happened is, you know, she was that person and she started having kids and
right. Started slipping.
Stay at home mom, and maybe she lost part of herself.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good point. She meets the love of her life, Rusty, in 1989. They would move in together pretty quickly and were married in 1993. Now, I saw that Rusty worked as an engineer at NASA, so he's a smart motherfucker. Right. But he is quoted as saying that they're going to have, quote, as many babies as nature will allow. And that's definitely going to contribute to a lot of the problems we're going to talk about. So,
I mean, there's a huge difference. In this case, is going to show it with Rusty, in my opinion. There's a huge difference between book smart and common sense smart people. And some people might have both, and some might not have neither. But there is a difference between the two. So this dude, you know, outward appearance is very educated and smart gentleman,
right? Doing some stupid
but
shit.
But the things that his own personal beliefs and everything else are a little bit on the fucked up side, and you know, as some say, a possible cause for what would end up happening.
Right. Right.
Maybe inadvertently. I'm not saying that he didn't want these kids to die ever.
Not. Of course not.
But just the way that he was pushing her
kind of oblivious to the whole situation.
Yeah. Catholics also call this the rhythm method.
Ooh.
Now, they would buy a 4-bedroom house in Friendsworth, Texas, which is a Houston suburb. At some point, Rusty and Andrea get into the weird religious stuff. A sidewalk preacher and his family were really kooky. They make these videotapes and correspond with their followers. So he's following this street preacher that's doing all this weird shit. I saw some video of like his kids and the wife and him in like these costumes, and they're running around and like holding up signs on the street and, you know, trying to get people to watch them.
Oh, yeah.
Really weird shit. But they're following this stuff. And then he would analyze your spiritual situation and then pass a judgment on you. And that's how Andrea began to feel that, you know, he was calling her like a Jezebel, and she's this horrible influence on her kids, and the kids are in danger of going to hell. And like you said, Joey, I mean, you take a person that's like that close to falling off a cliff mentally and throw religion in the like this. I mean, this is like crazy shit. That is just gas on a fucking fire here, man. That's just not going to end in a good way.
And this guy, like you said, this preacher dude, he's a sidewalk preacher for a reason. He don't have
right.
And you fucking go down to Texas and listen to some of these fucking weirdos out there talking to you.
Oh yeah,
because they'll talk to you all fucking day about it.
Oh sure.
And some of their fucking thought processes are way out there. But if you link onto somebody who feels what you're saying and they fucking start believing it,
right?
Obviously, as Andrew was believing that what he was telling her was, you know, fact,
right?
Man, yeah, that's gonna fuck your head up really bad for zero reason whatsoever.
Right. So it's just unbelievable. She felt like a terrible person. And we're going to get into that. But you know, that's how this shit all started. They have their first child, Noah, in 1994. And for a short time, they moved to Florida for a job. And then they came back. I'm not quite sure what the deal was with that. And I'm not sure, Joey, if he was with NASA the whole time or if it was just when this all happened.
I believe that he was with it up until for as long as I knew, like after the.
And that could have been the reason why they went to Florida and then back to Houston.
Exactly, it would make sense
because of NASA with
Cape Canaveral.
Right,
both
that's
shuttle
true.
areas. So
right, very true. But she suffered from postpartum depression really bad with the first child, Joey, and then again with the fourth one. And of course, a very serious thing that, you know, obviously it's easy for us to see, you know, later, you know, looking back on it. But I mean, this should have been treated so much differently. This is like a textbook of how not to handle it.
Right. And if you you already have postpartum with your first child, like, do you not show any signs of the second or third, or was there just no?
I wonder if it was like it got worse with the fourth one, or if it skipped two. That's weird.
I don't know if it skipped it at all, or she probably had signs, and maybe they just this is what happened last time. Don't worry, she'll be fine. But yeah, for them to like bring it back up with the fourth, it must have got a lot more serious by that point. Not to mention, I mean, she's believing she has to do this and have these kids because that's the will of God for what her and her husband are doing.
Right.
But anyone that should have been a friend to her or whatever should have been like, hey, you need to reevaluate what you guys are doing. Stop doing what you're doing. I understand that maybe in their religion, I know Catholic religion or whatnot, you're not going to go get, you know, vasectomy or your tube side. You're not going to use birth control. So your only possibility is for abstinence. And obviously they weren't practicing that. So
right.
I don't know. She obviously had issues since the first child. Why would you not have at least checked in on her each child after that?
I mean, Steph, what do you think Rusty's involved? I mean, I know we talked about it already, but I mean, do you think he should have been a little more aware of the situation?
I do. So at first, like when the case first came out, you know, everyone was blaming the husband and said, you know, he didn't want to give her medicine and all this, and he thought God would heal them or protect them. And I think, you know, I don't think it was him trying to keep her unsafe. I think it was his belief in God and that God was going to take care of everything.
Yeah.
That ultimately led to her not being on her medication and, you know, ultimately killing her kids. So
yeah, I know he made a lot of derogatory comments towards people with depression, and like he had referenced, like, you know, they need to get their shit together or something like that. It's like he definitely wasn't taking it seriously. But I think, like you said, the God part of it makes a lot of sense.
And the sign of the times back then, people did kind of look at stuff like that a little more like that. You know what I'm saying? It was like you didn't want to be known as somebody that had issues. If you did, you were considered kind of like a freak. Like, oh, you're sick.
Right.
You got problems. Where nowadays, everybody and their mom's got every kind of problem in the world and they're fine with it.
Right.
You know? But back then, it really was more of something to be kept in the closet, I guess I'd say.
No, I agree, dude. I agree.
So for him to be like, man, you need to get your shit together, unfortunately, especially down in conservative Texas back then, that was probably just way people thought.
Yeah, I don't think that's far off at all, especially in that part of the country.
And that shows you now how much things have changed in 20 years.
20 years. That's a huge difference now. So she's falling apart. Fourth baby, another boy. They've got all boys now until the fifth child. They're living in a tiny camper in a campground, which was fucking whacked. I'm not sure if that had to do with the religion angle here or if they were like having money issues, but they like they sold this nice 4-bedroom house and they buy like this little tiny like run-down looking camper and they live in a campground with 5 fucking kids, or 4 maybe at the time, but eventually 5. And then she was dealing with the sick father at that who was going through dementia. I mean, this is just nuts. I mean, you take all these things. I mean, talk about the perfect storm, mental health issues, 5 kids, a sick father that you're taking care of. I mean, living in that tiny place, dealing with all that in a person with full mental health, good to go, would lose their shit, let alone her. I mean, this is just
that's a
awful
tough capacity to be in.
Awful
for sure.
To expect anyone to be able to work through that.
And I don't. This is all speculation too. I'm not trying to say anything, but the fact that I feel like he is very conservative down there in Texas in the way that it was, I'm pretty sure that she probably had to do all the wife duties as far as cooking and cleaning and.
Oh, I'm sure that's very probable.
Yeah, so just the way it was supposed to be, and for her to serve her husband, was supposed to be God's will. I mean, she probably did all that shit forever, and it's just going to drive you fucking nuts. Yeah,
and then eventually her father dies, so she's dealing with this father with Alzheimer's. My grandmother had that. It's very difficult for the family. The father dies, so another huge stress on her. So she tries to OD on pills, and then again with a knife to her neck.
And that's some real shit that she did both times. Those are documented cases, and it's like, whoa. Now you should have looked into her background before for other reasons.
Right.
Now you got to fucking figure out what the fuck is up with this lady.
Right.
Because she's got 5 kids in this tiny ass camper.
Right. And he's the one that got the knife away from her when she's tried to stab herself in the neck. So he finds her rocking back and forth and chewing on her fingers. Not her fingernails, her fingers. Yeah. She was chewing them. Not bathing regularly, picking scabs all over her body, a complete fucking mess. She suffers a mental breakdown in 1999, which causes the 2 suicide attempts and 2 mental hospitalizations, which is good. She is diagnosed with postpartum psychosis, and then they move into a small house. So he upgrades the camper to at least getting her into a house, which is good. And she seemed to be much improved with the medication.
It's so fucked up because with Rusty, it's like, I never ever think that he wanted his kids harmed ever.
Right.
I don't think that he wanted any harm to come of his wife, and I do believe that he loved her. But he was so fucking disillusioned in the way that he was fucking his beliefs and everything that he would not fucking bring her to get help because you can take care of that yourself, or it's not really there, or God will help it.
Right.
And it's just like, you're fucking guilty of part of that now, regardless if you know it or not, regardless if it's part of the law or not. In your mind, you got to know that fucking you were fucking up there.
Yeah.
To look back on this in hindsight, you really thought that this was okay?
Right.
Them 2 suicide attempts, that was some real shit.
Right.
And so fucked up.
It is fucked up. Now, despite her psychiatrist telling her after the 4th one not to have any more, she gets pregnant again, and this time gives birth to a girl only 7 weeks after she's discharged from the hospital.
Jesus.
What the fuck? She starts reading the Bible obsessively. She neglects feeding Mary, which is the newborn.
Well, of course, they called it Mary.
Yeah. Go figure, right? She almost kills her by choking her, giving her solid food too early. So she is definitely losing it. She stops taking the medicine, which is a big one, Stephanie. I mean, your prescribed medicine, you're supposed to take it like the doctor tells you to take it, and she's off the meds, and she's a time bomb.
And she was on Halidol.
I was just going to ask you, what was she? You mentioned the Halidol.
Yeah, she was on Halidol. And
which is a what? What kind of drug is that?
An antipsychotic. So for schizophrenia. So
powerful or?
Yeah. So, I mean, do you know lithium? Lithium's one of the higher strengths. So lithium and Halidol are for paranoid schizophrenics.
Okay.
And you're never supposed to just stop your medicine.
Right.
But I think she was in like such a psychosis. When she was speaking with her doctor, she said it was making her feel a certain way.
Right.
So he tapered it off. So she always responded to the Halidol, but since it was lower dose than the events leading to the fateful day.
Yeah, for sure. Now she's mutilating herself. She gets admitted into the hospital again in April of 2001. She gets released a month later. Now she's back, though, in a catatonic state, filling the bathtub with water, plans to drown the kids, but decided against it. She's hospitalized again, but the doctors unfortunately think she was going to do herself harm with filling up the tub, not the kids. But Joey, I don't know, the whole religious angle, as you mentioned, that Michael Warrenecki, what the fuck was the deal with that guy, man?
So Michael Warrenecki is, this religious guru or whatever you want to call him at the time, So Rusty met him first.
Okay.
Because he was preaching on the campus of Auburn. So that's where he first met him back in like the mid 80s.
Okay.
He took her, he introduced her to Andrea Kennedy, which was her maiden name, Andrea Yates. And so, they seemed a little bit intimidated. She did, especially, of the guy. He straight up told them, not to marry quickly. He told them some really good things. But anyhow, so they end up staying in touch forever and become friends or whatnot, if you want to call them that. And then, they brought him out one time, Rusty and Andrea, to the Warrenecki house or whatever. And he asked him, straight up, are you willing to sacrifice your wife and children for the sake of this job?
Wow.
And after that, they kind of grew apart, and Rusty was like, holy shit, it's kind of crazy. And then Rusty will tell you that their relationship wasn't close, but to me, it sounded like they had a lot of, very close issues.
Interesting.
But so she gets... Andrea starts getting her sicknesses, her mental illnesses diagnosed and everything else, and starts going through that. So he Warrenecki was kind of in the shadows the whole time and followed the whole thing. And then whenever the case came to national attention and the Yates trial started, they brought him back in, and he was talking. He had a newsletter called The Perilous Times, and they put it into evidence. And that's because the things that he was talking about in there were basically, the delusions and the things that Andrea suffered with the schizophrenia, depression, and everything else that would cause somebody to do something like she did. So they were trying to use this, the defense was trying to use this as a reason why she did it,
right?
And the catalyst for what she ended up going through. But Warrenecki and Rusty Yates, they dismissed all the allegations. They said that that's not really what it was. And then whenever they were talking about it, they were like, that's just crazy that Andrea Yates could be influenced by Warrenecki's book whenever she already had all this other shit for years. But they really did try to use his book as a reason for why she would go and kill her kids. And the dude he seemed like kind of a shady dude in his own way, but at the same time, that's some fucked up shit to bring out. That is fucked up. Yeah.
Wow.
I did watch a documentary, whether, the facts were true or not, that he did preach that, your kids should be righteous or else they're going to go to hell.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That was one of his big, I guess, tenets.
Okay.
And that Andrea Yates did correspond with his wife.
Okay.
And that she would write back to Andrea that, she was a sinner and a Jezebel and things like that. Whether that was true or not,
I heard similar things.
Yeah.
I know about the Jezebel thing and the correspondence.
And another thing that Warrenecki did say is he straight told Rusty that you need to be there more for your wife and kids because that's what he was talking about, like him being off doing the job and everything so much. He needed to be there because they needed his love firsthand. So it was almost like he was foreseeing that, you know, something bad could happen and you need to pay attention.
Right.
But that was another thing they brought up with Rusty, is that he was one of those workaholic, I think.
Right.
And that he was so attached to doing what he was doing outside of the family that's why it was easy for him to ignore some shit.
Right.
And we've seen that with other people too. Like, it's a real thing.
Yeah,
like, pay
it
attention
really
to your
is.
goddamn family.
Exactly. The family's living in the Houston suburb of Clear Lake City. Andrea's under a doctor's care. He told Rusty that she should not be left alone with the kids, but unfortunately, Rusty doesn't listen. On June 20th, 2001, he left for work, and she was alone with the kids for an hour. Now, you know, obviously a fatal mistake. The doctor told him not to do it. I did see that he was trying to, what he claimed is he was trying to work her into getting used to taking care of the kids,
Right.
not relying on him and his mother as much. But again, I mean, when she has tried to kill herself twice, filling bathtubs with water, I mean, for fuck's sake, dude. I mean, you need to...
2 cases of postpartum depression.
Not a smart thing. And I know it's easy to, you know, armchair quarterback it, but come on now. It's just unbelievable. And also I saw that she had a set order to kill them in.
Yeah.
Because she knew the oldest would fight and alert the others, you know, and then maybe the 5-year-old would get away. The others were maybe too little, but the 5-year-old could, you know, open a door and run away.
That's what's so fucked up, is that's some devious ass
Right?
planning and thinking.
That-
But at the same time, she never fucking tried to deny anything.
No.
She fucking admitted doing what she's doing. So obviously she had no fucking problem explaining her devious method for doing it.
Right. That's true, man. I mean, it's
But
fucked
that
up
had
to
to take
think.
thinking. It's like, okay, I'm going to kill my kids. You're crazy as fuck if you just think that and just end up doing it. But if you're like, okay, now I need to fucking figure this out.
Right.
To
So
make
she
sure
goes
this
after the
goes-
5-year-old
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, we'll get into this a little bit later. Her timing from the time her husband left and everything else, she had that shit so fucking clock planned out.
She did.
That she was ready to fucking do it.
Oh, yeah, she was. So she starts with John, the 5-year-old. She drowns him in the bathtub, lays him on the bed. Then she does the same thing with 3-year-old Paul and 2-year-old Luke. It's just fucking horrible. So fucked up. Then she drowned the baby, 6-month-old Mary. She's floating in the tub when the 7-year-old Noah comes in the bathroom and wants to know what's wrong with his little sister. I mean, that is absolutely terrible. She catches him, which is fucked up. She's like chasing him around, drowns him too. He puts, of course, up a big fight. Good
big
for him.
fight, yeah.
Yeah, good for him. Unfortunately, he didn't win out, but at least he fucking gave it all he had. She left him floating in the tub and put Mary in John's arms on the bed. I mean, Joey, I don't know if you can get that much more disturbing than this story.
No, very fucked
mean,
up
really.
right there.
I mean, we're not talking about like a Pedro Lopez with 300 victims, but a mother to take her 5 children and kill them in a methodical way to make sure she's going to get them all, and then lays them out on the bed with the baby in the brother's arms. I mean, that's just some really creepy ass shit.
Also, to differentiate, like, okay, you got Susan Smith, you fucking kill all your kids, you fucking drive them off a fucking, you know, into the water in a car. That's fucked up on one level, but Andrea Yates used her fucking own hands to fucking physically kill her children one by one, and that's a way, like, to me, that's a way more fucking crazy state.
Oh, yeah. To hold your own child under the water. Oh, that's just terrible. Now, Stephanie, she calls Rusty to tell him to get home, and as a father, I could not imagine getting a call like that, but of course, anybody, father, mother, brother, sister, aunt, I mean, that's just, whoa. You know?
Obviously, I think he made the wrong choice to leave her alone.
Right.
So I guess his mom was supposed to come over an hour after, you know, he left for work.
Right.
So he figured she'd be okay for an hour. But, I mean, obviously, she was supposed to be under someone's watch all the time. So.
Right. Joey, it's a case study in how not to handle this. But I think, again, it's going to come up, about Rusty and, should he have left her alone for the hour?
Right.
And I don't know. I could understand what he's trying to do, but you're not dealing with a person with a full deck here.
And I'm not in the same fucking frame of mind with my fucking opinions of the way I believe, things should go, obviously, that he was. He obviously saw life and the way things were a little bit different, how you raise your family and everything else. And
right.
I don't know, I can't for the life of me understand if your fucking lady that you love has tried to kill herself twice and she's obviously got mental issues, and the last thing you ever want to do is leave your children with her.
Right.
To me.
Right.
But, people just, they have different thought processes, and it's kind of like that thing. It's like, to him, he probably never in a billion years believed that would ever really have happened to him.
Right.
He would never have been convinced of that until all of a sudden it happened right in front of his face, which, that's the sad fucking fact of it. But people need to realize that, man, sometimes people ain't
warning
just
signs or warning signs, you know. Now, Andrea confesses, as you said, Joey, you could watch it on YouTube. It's very fucked up. She's, a mess. There were interviews done with her weeks after, and you could tell when she's medicated, she acts much more coherent. The ones with they're all whacked out and her hair greasy and talking about a cartoon character that came to life and told her kids to stop eating candy. Yeah. She talked about, the fact she was a sinner and that whole Jezebel thing, and that she was going to lead her kids to end up in hell. And obviously, to us sitting here, that is a very crazy thing. But unfortunately, with somebody dealing with this kind of psychosis, she was out there, and that's obvious by the stuff she was saying.
And she's crazy, and she's fucking, clinically fucking diagnosed as fucking problematic, but
is she
fucking
legally
knew right from wrong.
Right, and that's the problem.
She premeditated this so fucking well.
Right.
That, crazy or not, in that aspect, you're fucking smart enough to know what you did was wrong.
That's right. So. That's right.
She called the 911 right after she did it, calm as hell.
Right.
Calls her husband. I bet you, I've never heard that call, but she was probably pretty calm until he got hysterical, I would bet.
Right.
Because it was probably the same kind of fucking, emotion for her.
Oh my God.
Fucking
I can't even imagine.
And I think that's why it's such a catch-22, because she was obviously having some mental psychosis.
Right.
But at the same time, she was so coherent. She planned it.
Right.
She knew when she wanted to do it.
She wasn't
knew
babbling.
Which kid to
She
do
was very
first.
methodical about it.
So it's hard to say what you should do in that situation.
Of course. Nobody would know until you're there, right?
Yeah.
She tells the police and her psychiatrist that she felt that killing them was going to save them, hoping that God would let them into heaven since they were so young. She talked about how they wouldn't listen to her. They talked bad to their grandma, Rusty's mom. All sorts of weird stuff like that. But again, you could watch that stuff. It was in the couple documentaries I watched. You could see quite a bit of that if that's what you want to, go check out. Now, Joey, one of the things I watched said the defense wished they would have had more video of her without the meds so the jury could have seen the depth of the madness here. What do you think, man?
I mean, I think that everybody should see every aspect of the case so you can fucking make as solid a decision as you can.
Right.
However, I fully believe, because just like what I said, the planning and the premeditation involved in it, I don't think that it would have gone much differently.
Right.
In their minds. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I think you would have to show me some pretty fucking impressive footage of what's going on for me to just be like, oh shit, okay, I changed my mind now.
Yeah.
Because now that I've seen that, I get it.
Right.
Like, what?
Right. Now,
but that's the defense's job, though, is to find these things.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them for wanting more of that stuff. Now, Rusty said she locked the dog up to avoid him from interfering on what she was going to do.
Another fucking thing.
Exactly. Another planned out thing. All the things she did to plan, like we said, I mean, when you talk about being able to say that you are, beyond knowing right from wrong, I mean, if anybody would be considered insane. It would be this woman.
Right.
But legally, she doesn't meet the definition. And in Texas, an even tougher standard, apparently.
And we also said the same thing talking about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right.
And Gacy said that. John Gacy said, if Jeffrey Dahmer doesn't fit the fucking criteria for clinically insane, nobody should be.
Right. I mean, like, the one that comes to mind that would fit that would be that the vampire, the Sacramento.
Oh, yeah. Chase, Richard Chase.
Yeah, Richard Chase. Now, that was a dude that was literally, mentally insane and legally insane. I mean, he was just,
They still convicted him, though.
Right. But Ed Gein, he went to psychiatric hospital for the rest of his life and was never convicted, really.
That's true.
But that's because back in the 1930s and somebody did that shit, holy fuck, he's got to be insane. Point blank, oh, that dude's crazy.
Right.
It wasn't.
What about Fish, though, man? Fish got fried. I mean, legit. So Fish got fried. Might have a new commercial there, Joey. So it's amazing, case, but she's found guilty in 2002, but they did not give her the death penalty. She was tried for 3 of the murders, but they kept the other 2 back in case she was found not guilty. And they'd have another shot. But she is found guilty in 2002. Of course, in Texas, they don't play around with the death penalty.
No, they don't.
So she was lucky that they didn't give her that. But she got life in prison instead without the ability for parole until 40 years. But the story would not end there because in 2005... the Texas Court of Appeals revised or reversed the convictions.
Yeah.
And Joey, there's this crazy story about the psychiatrist from California who may have biased the jury because of Law and Order.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to hear what the deal was with that.
Dr. Park Dietz is the man who took the stand and he was given the testimony. And they overturned her conviction based on the fact that when he got up there, he brought up an episode of Law and Order, an NBC show, and tried to use that, as I think it was just a similarity to what was going on.
Okay.
And the whole thing was he said that it was an episode about a mother who drowned her kids who got off because of insanity.
Okay.
Now, they went back and looked into that, and he had mixed up the fucking cases all day. He didn't even fucking say the right one.
So it's not just Murder Metal Mayhem that does that.
Right, not just Murder Metal Mayhem. But there was no such show as what he was talking about. In the 5 months before the Yates children were killed, there were 2 episodes that basically were like... I think like the Susan Smith case or something like that, something along those lines. But it wasn't the one about the drowning of the kids. So
interesting.
The thing is they were showing how, especially at that time, the lines between fact and fiction could be easily fucking misinterpreted. Because he brought that up. He even went back and said, "Man, I really regret putting that into the testimony."
Well, sure,
because that wasn't what it was supposed to be,
right?
But these people take it that way, and the jury hears
good
that.
Attorney knows. Yeah. Oh, there's an angle,
and they say like, okay, so nowadays you hear that shit, and your fucking mind obviously goes to, well, there's probable cause that maybe it was the other way or whatnot. But back then, people are hearing the shit, and they're like, oh wow, that is a reason.
Yeah,
and they're fucking just hearing this shit. Hill Street Blues, all them shows were out then,
right?
And like, so they're hearing this shit on TV. Oh, you're not guilty because of insanity. That shit wasn't real world shit at all,
right?
But people didn't really know, so they're like believing it. Like these fucking courtroom shows and all that.
Right.
First time they've seen it, and they're like, okay, this is how it is.
Right.
So now I'm going to take that knowledge with me when I go on this jury.
Right.
So yeah, so they overturn. They fucking
that's crazy, man. 2006, she's found not guilty by reason of insanity, but confined to stay in a mental hospital, which is good. Definitely a better place than prison for her. She's put in the North Texas State Hospital in 2007, and then she's moved to the Kerrville State Hospital, which is a low-security mental facility in Kerrville, Texas, and she's 56 years old. So very interesting. Apparently, Rusty told Andrea's brother in 2001, that's what I was referring to earlier, that depressed people just need a, quote, kick in the pants, unquote, to straighten out. What an idiot.
Well, why didn't he give her a kick in the pants then?
Yeah, I guess, or kick himself in the fucking pants. He had been leaving her alone with the kids for an hour, like we said, to get her, used to that. But, the parent or the mother, found out about Rusty's plan. Her mother found out about Rusty's plan. And she was, of course, outraged that he left her alone. But, again, easy for her to say. She wasn't there. This is just a terrible thing. Steph, I guess it's easy to look at things now. But, I mean, what are your thoughts here of how maybe this could have been handled a little differently?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this case, brought into light mental illness and how to treat it a little bit better.
Right.
But at the same time, where's the line between mental illness and committing crime?
Right.
It's just, it's kind of hard when people are, to me, hiding behind God. And, because God is good.
Right.
Then, because they committed this crime and,
Right.
God is good, they believe that,
Right.
It should be forgivable.
It's explained.
But
yeah.
at the same time, maybe it did bring into light that mental illness should be treated in a different way. But regardless, I think that whether she's in prison or a state hospital, she should be locked up for, committing the crimes that she did.
Yeah, I agree. Rusty also said later that Andrea was afraid to have sex and wouldn't change clothes in front of him. And that was when they were not married. So that's not good. He figured getting married would change that, but apparently it did not. So again, there are many red flags here with her. Contrary to what the doctor said after the murders, Rusty claims no one ever said she was psychotic and that she shouldn't be left alone, which I don't get that, especially with the kids. Duh. During the trial, he believed Andrea would be found not guilty and that they would go have more children, which is beyond insane. I mean, he's already fucking doing crazy shit. If he can honestly say after what she did that it would be a good idea to keep having children with her is just as crazy as she is. She winds up, or he winds up divorcing her. He gets married again, but then after 10 years gets divorced again. So, Stephanie, it sounds like Rusty should have been held a little bit more accountable, but I think, the second wife probably caught on to some of his dumb shit.
Yeah,
Probably.
I'm sure.
I'm surprised she lasted 10 years.
10 years.
I didn't see. I wonder if they had any kids together.
They
I
had
didn't
one.
see.
They
Oh,
had
really?
one. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I didn't see that. That's interesting. That's good. Just one. That's enough.
Right. One and done. He learned this time.
Right. Apparently, that crazy street preacher Joey is. In case you're, wanting to connect with him, Michael Warnecki's still
you
out
can
there.
still talk to him.
Yeah. He's got to have like a webcam, I'm sure, and you could probably, chat away with him.
He has his own YouTube channel.
Nice.
So
Oh,
if you want
damn.
to check out his videos.
That would have been funny to interview him. That would have been
God,
crazy.
yeah. Maybe for a brutal rewind.
That
if we
would
could
be
get
great.
To him, we'll be like, hey.
That would be awesome. He's definitely fucking out there. He travels all over the world preaching the fire and brimstone stuff. The kids were involved, but that was back, 20 years ago. So I don't know if they still are, if his grandkids are doing it or what, but just a crazy motherfucker. Perfect storm. You got the religious fanaticism with mental illness and not taking the meds she's supposed to be taking, and how, what else would come of this but something really bad. And this is about as bad as it gets. Anything you guys want to add to this crazy story? Anything?
I don't have anything.
No, Stephanie?
Just one thing.
Sure.
So one documentary that I watched, they said that if you had postpartum depression for your first child, you were 50 to 80% more likely to have it with each child that you had.
Oh, boy.
Which makes sense to me.
Right?
Like, I would think that.
Yeah, that's a pretty brutal statistic, that's for sure. So, I don't have much more to say on this either. But again, we apologize to Josh from Georgia. We, just were not able to get a good connection with him. We tried a couple different ways. And so we're sorry, Josh. Having some issues here, I know, but it could have been some on your side too. I don't really know, and that's unfortunately the internet. But your band, Aborning, Joey, I mean, you're all about those guys. I know I heard about them from you, but they're fucking badass, man.
Good friends of mine. I've known them since, I think, 2010s whenever I first met them.
Okay.
I believe. And, so 11 years of knowing those dudes, and I've toured with them twice.
Right.
I've made music with them. My new album that I've got coming out, Rudy, the guitarist, he did a guitar solo for one of my songs.
Hell yeah, man.
So, no, those dudes are very, very cool guys out of Noonan, Georgia.
Yeah. So
good
if you're
dudes.
listening
We'll get Josh
to this,
back on here.
Josh will be back on, but I just wanted to mention that again, give him an extra plug for the band, and go check out Aborning. So badass. I did my research with a variety of sources. There were several documentaries I watched. This is a fairly recent case. There is a lot out there, but honestly, I did learn a lot. I'm glad I did what I did because I feel much more prepared for this one, having read and watched some of the stuff that I did. But there's a lot out there if you want to check it out. That's for sure. Now, next week, Joey, you mentioned this one a couple times with this case because it's hard not to mention Susan Smith. That's who we're doing next week. Yep. Sticking with our theme, Joey, our Murdering Moms of May on Murder Metal Mayhem. And
she just wants to fucking throw her little kids to drown in her car.
Yeah, and sit there and watch them drowning in a car is the fucking
all
worst.
For a fucking dude.
Right?
So we'll get into that one.
We are. And so she's definitely one of the most hated, right up there with Casey Anthony.
Yeah, I was going to say Andrea Yates, like, she's hatred level, like, here, and then fucking, Casey Anthony and fucking Susan Smith are like skyrocket hatred level because you fucking dumbass cunts. But I don't know.
Yeah, so it's going to be terrible, but we're going to keep with our theme. So that'll be next week. You definitely don't want to miss that. And we've done our fair share of murdering tonight. I hear that music. Unfortunately, though, with our crazy internet situation here, we hope we're going to get CK, or we may have a recorded version of CK. Yeah. But nonetheless, we're going to get fucking ready to throw down. And Joey, what the fuck do we need to do, man?
Well, in the 419, you know how we do. We don't just listen to rap. Let's get our metal on.
Known the world over as the master of metal, the crusher of posers, and Murder Metal Mayhem's knower of all things metal, hailing from Wild Van Street in Danbury, Connecticut, standing at 6 feet of brutal, punishing madness, weighing in at 220 pounds of poser pulverization, the one, the only, toughest bastard on the planet, Chris C.K. Comics! Well, I'll tell you what, for the first time in Murder Metal Mayhem history, since CK has been on the show, CK is not going to be on tonight, Joey. He will not get in the house. He's running up and down Wild Man.
He's fucking just tearing shit up over in Danbury, and Laura's like yelling at him to come in and do the episode.
He won't listen. The cops are chasing him. He's somehow got himself mixed into the volleyball games that are now back in action. Wild Man. So CK, get feeling better, buddy.
Hell yeah.
And we're going to do Corzus next episode. Because CK really wanted to do that segment, and I was looking forward to it, and he didn't want to do that with not being up to snuff, and he wasn't feeling real good. So, pulling for you, CK. All right, now, because CK is not going to be here with us doing the metal segment, we were already going to talk about your Florida trip, Joey, but how was that? You went down there with the Shawback brothers.
I did. And that's what I was just saying to you, Pete. I was like, we're over here fucking doing this podcast. We got fucking Stephanie over here fucking with us. And, you know, we should be fucking having a little bit fucking better of a time. We were still making it work, but we lost Chris. Chris isn't here with us, so he can't even tell the story with me, even though he's there and he's usually here. And then fucking we couldn't get Josh to connect correctly because of the fucking internet connection. And then now CK
came in clear as a bell too.
Did.
And
I know.
Unfortunately, was just feeling really bad from chemo. So,
but you know, much love to CK. He's very upset he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
We know that we'll get, you know, back hearing him again in a week.
Right.
You hear about courses, but for now, you know, we'll do our own part of the metal segment.
Right.
Keep the show going.
Of course.
We still got 419 Stephanie in here.
That's right. That's right.
But anyway, so yeah, we went down to Florida. I took Michael and Chris Shaw back with me.
Wow.
Both Shaw back.
Did you get
boys.
like a certificate for that or something?
You should. You definitely should.
TSA certificate.
Oh God. But so this is Chris's first time flying. Whenever I went out to North Carolina last year, Michael went with me. That was his first time flying. So this time, you know, brought them both out there. So that was cool. It was so funny because we got on the plane and we're on Spirit, so it's small anyway and fucking ghetto or whatnot. But, you know, you get fucking 3 seats and Michael's the first one to come in and he gets a fucking middle seat. Then the guy that comes in that sits next to him is fucking bigger than Michael is. And then the window seat's still open, but the fucking guy bigger than them two comes fucking walking up and it's his seat.
Oh,
and
my
they all
God,
fucking try
dude.
to cram in this aisle and it's just not happening. It was so fucking funny. But anyway, so we went down to Florida. Everything fucking, you know, was fine, like with the trip and everything. Didn't have no issues with TSA, nothing like that. It is funny to mention that because of COVID and how well or big deal that we got our tickets, like we went down there cheap as fuck. My guitar cost twice as much as I did to travel.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fucked up. But anyway, so we get down there, we go to Florida, fucking the first night we just hung out, you know, the Shawbacks got some beers and did it up. The second day was really fucking awesome. We went down there. We didn't have no weed with us, so we all smoked weed, like me, Michael, and Chris, of course. And it's legal back here in Illinois, but we didn't have no weed with us. And fucking, we seen this dude that was next door to our fucking hotel room out there smoking a joint in the morning. So fucking Chris goes up and asks him. He's like, "Man, you got joint we can buy or whatever?" And he ends up selling us some. But dude was straight fucking trapping out the fucking hotel room next to us, like nonstop. People coming getting shit throughout the day,
Oh, damn.
and he's just fucking. It was in some broad's name, and he's just sitting in there fucking all day hustling. So I don't know. It was fucking funny, but that first day, like, we got some weed, which was cool, but our buddy Eric, who fucking put on the show for us, he does Nihilus Productions down there in fucking Tampa, puts on a lot of the shows at the Mug and stuff, which is cool, Brass Mug.
Yeah.
But he took me, Chris, and Michael out with his brother Don, too, to this nature preserve in Lakeland, Florida, and we got to walk around that, and we saw all kinds of wildlife and shit like that, fucking tons of birds and fucking whatever critters, but a lot of alligators too. Like, we didn't see a lot, but we did see quite a few, and that's what I wanted to do anyway. I was like, I want to go see some fucking alligators in the wild down there.
Right.
And so I got to see that.
Right.
So we did that. That was the first part of the day, and that was fun. And then we went to the show, and the show was fucking awesome. Like, it was, I mean, it's one of the first shows to come back, I guess I'd say, especially down in Florida. They haven't been doing shows that long. I think that Deicide show that happened like not too long ago was like one of the first ones. And shit. So anyway, I mean, these people were ready for it, but I went down there and like this band Menstrual Moonshine, they were fucking badass as fuck. They were from down there. This other band, Blister and Defilement, holy shit, those guys were sick. Merciless Scum played. I played my set. Man, I can't even remember because I'm just fucking not thinking correctly.
How long
right
of
now.
a set did they give you?
I ended up with like a 40-minute set.
That's cool.
The first band had a short set, and then we were kind of like running a little bit ahead anyway. The headliner was Co-Hanger Abortion. Holy shit, they were so fucking good.
Are they from
They're
Florida?
from Chattanooga, Tennessee, so they traveled too, but they basically played almost all new shit off their new CD that's coming out, surely on Comatose Records, but holy shit, like, this shit is fucking nasty, so I'm excited for that.
Nice.
But yeah, I got to play like a half-hour set, and what was cool about this show too was there was a good handful of people that were down there that had been listening to me since like MySpace. Like, no bullshit. Like, and I've been trying to play Florida like probably 5 times, and for whatever reason, shit would fall through. So
Right.
this is the first time I ever actually got to play Goremonger in Florida, and it was at the Brass Monkey. I mean, these kids were fucking hyped on shit, and like there was fucking moshing. I played second, so it was early, but there was still these people moshing to my shit. I had people calling out song requests, which that fucking never happens to me. They're like, "Oh, I want to hear Grenade Slam." I was like, "Holy fuck, you just called it out. You know I'm playing it then."
Right.
And I mean, it was just really good. The sound was amazing there. Everybody was so cool. Dark Star Coven played, which was more like an old school death metal band, with some thrash elements, and there was somebody else to play. I'm just fucking not thinking right now, but it was such a good time, and everybody there was so fucking cool, and everybody treated everybody really well through the show and whatnot. And
that's really cool, man.
Me and Shawbacks made it back. Chris, now I ain't gonna lie, probably by right after my set, Chris was already outside, like, he's done. That's what we're thinking, me and Michael. But there were probably 3 or 4 moments throughout the night where I'm like, Chris is done. And somehow he kept bouncing back, and fucking he made it till the end of the show. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah.
All right. Very cool.
So yeah, that was the trip to Florida. And we made it back safely, and
awesome.
It was a good time.
Nobody got thrown in fucking TSA prison?
No, not at all.
That's good. That's good. All right, well, glad to know you had a good trip, and I think I hear some music telling me we're going to have to fucking jam some 6 fucking 6.
Onslaught.
All right, so talking about what we've been listening to, Stephanie, you're sitting in Chris's spot, so why don't we start with you?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to talk about that, but when I'm at work and I hear all these diagnoses, I think that they're good names for bands.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like pulmonary embolism,
right?
fecal impaction,
Yeah.
intracranial hemorrhage. So I always think of what would the name of my band be?
Or song titles.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Nonstop.
What about you, Joey?
I've been listening to. I was listening to a lot of the bands that I was going down to listen to, so that's usually the case before I play a show.
Yeah.
Co-hanger Abortion, like I said, I'm gonna plug them again because their new songs were so fucking sick. But also that new Cannibal Corpse, jamming that. And I had kind of taken a little hiatus with the Goremonger with recording my new album just because shit's been so hectic, and sometimes you just kind of fall out of motivation for shit, you know, which is rare for me, but it did kind of happen. But so I got back into, whenever we fucking drove up Chicago to O'Hare to fucking fly out to Florida, I had put all my new tracks. So I got 8 brand new tracks for the new Goremonger CD out of 12 that I will have, but completely done. And I put them on a CD, and we jammed them going up there to Chicago, and I liked what I heard.
Nice.
The car test to me is always the ultimate. I'll listen to it on all different kinds of devices, but the car test, that's the one. And there's a lot of times you listen to your shit and you're like, man, I just don't really like that. But to me, it makes a big difference on the order you put the songs in. And that's something I did, is I kind of switched up a couple of the songs and then heard it all flow together, and I dug it. And so, I mean, it made me a lot happier. So
that's cool.
That's what I've been jamming.
That's cool. I've been jamming some Corzus. I bought 2 of their CDs, Discipline of Hate and Legion, and they are badass. Both of them I dig. And then that new Solstice, Casting the Die. I've only heard the first couple songs. It's badass.
Nice, yeah.
Those guys are old school
From Florida?
thrash band. I'm not sure.
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But they're great, and they got a new album just came out on Friday, Casting the Die. So go check it out. And then Corzus, we're going to do them next week, but I've been really digging those guys from Brazil. I got their DVD. It's their history.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if it was going to be in Portuguese or English, and it's got an English subtitle option. The only problem is the directions of what you click on to go to that are in Portuguese. So it took a little trial and error, but I figured it out, and then I'm like, oh, cool, I can watch this and see what they're saying in English. And of course, I'm sure there's a little variances, but overall, it does a good job. And it takes it all the way back from the Battle of the Bands they played on their first show, and the whole thing about the band name that we talked to them about, the way they came up with the name is really funny. So they talk about that. So it's cool. All right. So we talk about the 666 Club, Joey, and we can't say enough about it.
Stephanie's a member.
That's right. And 666 Club members, $3 a month, they get access, like VIP access. They get the episodes a day early. They get the karaoke as soon as they're recorded. They get 10% off merch, and we appreciate it very much. Yeah. So Patreon supporters, go to patreon.com/Murder Metal Mayhem, and I'll link to that, of course, in the episode description. So,
I mean, if nothing else, you can go listen to the fucking Ramirez and Al Capone episodes we did.
Right. I forgot to mention the bonus episodes. Yeah. So well worth it. Plus all the interviews. You get the full interviews before everybody else. Some case you get the full interview and no one else gets.
And those episodes that we did for the Patreon only, like those are like full episodes about those subjects.
Right.
And if you're interested, go back and listen to the Dahmer one that we released.
Right.
That was a Patreon only.
Right.
And you'll hear how that goes. Like,
yeah, we released it months later, but we're going to do that with another one, and we'll be recording some new ones too. So. Yep. All right, and then also don't forget to order one of our new T-shirts. The Jeff Gaither shirts are so badass. We're all zombies.
Hell yeah.
Crawling out of graves on the front of it, and the blood spatter and Murder Metal Mayhem on the back. So it's killer.
Stephanie was wearing her. Where were you at?
Oh, I was at Walmart. And,
nice.
I was in the self-checkout, and I heard one coworker whisper to the other coworker, "Well, that's an interesting shirt."
Nice.
And I forgot what I had on,
Nice.
and then I realized.
That's funny. I know. It happens to me all the time. I go to the Dollar General here in Hayworth, and this old woman is like staring at me like I'm Satan, and I look and I got like my Hannibal Lecter shirt on, and I'm like, okay, like I could see why she's staring at me like I'm crazy.
I'll tell you something that was kind of funny too that I forgot about from our trip to Florida is that Chris fucking brought and wore back on the plane the fucking Unibonger shirt he got.
Oh, nice.
I was like, Jesus Christ.
Just begging to get a body cavity search. That's hilarious. So, go to the episode description. I'll link to that where you can get one of these new shirts. They're really sick. And get some Murder Metal Mayhem stickers that go along with it from our buddy at Sticker Company. Stuck Up Sticker Company. Wow, it's been one hell of a night. But yeah, Ian over there at Stuck Up Sticker Company, really good stuff. And the die cut stickers are just wicked. All right, well, we've done plenty of metal tonight, despite the fact that CK was down. He's on the IR, but short term, he'll be back. Again, we're sorry we weren't able to get CK on here, but he is definitely with us in spirit.
I'm just glad that it's not because he lacerated his junk on one of those Blackly Lawless fucking the saw thongs.
Yeah, the saw thong. The what do you call it?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. He knew the name of it. It was hilarious. The cod piece.
Yeah, cod piece. That's what it was.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think we need to get our fucking mayhem on.
Your kids know how to swim. It's taking them to a holiday pool party turned out to be embarrassing because they can't swim like the rest of the kids? Dumbasses. Then call us today at Yates Swimming Lessons and let's teach your kids the basics today.
My wife and I took our kids to Yates and were lucky to have Andrea as their coach. She taught them water survival methods when someone tries to hold them under the water. Thanks to Andrea, they know what stranger danger really means.
Pool weather's right around the corner. Let our staff show your kids how to swim now.
Unfortunately, my 3-year-old didn't survive her first swim lesson, but Yates was good and gave us a refund and a coupon for a free ice cream cone at the Dairy Queen. Thanks, Yates Swimming Lessons.
Visit our website today at mommydrownsus.com and sign up for free lessons.
Oh my God.
I forgot all about
I forgot about how bad that was too. Look that voice you did there.
I forgot completely. As soon as it started, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Awful. Oh my God. Yates swim lessons. We did that one about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. So we forgot kind of how it went, but that was pretty sick.
Yep.
And before that, of course, Corzus.
Fuck yeah.
Which, even though we had to postpone CK's Corzus segment, can't get enough of those guys. So that was You Can't Stop Me.
They'll have plenty of other riffs for us to play them again.
Oh, yeah. Those 2 CDs I've got, there's a couple of songs. There's one called Devil's Head, which is badass that I probably will play instead next week when we do that. So... all right. Well, we are in Mayhem, and we like to be in Mayhem because we do a lot of crazy stuff and tell some wild stories. And Stephanie, are you going to share with us? Didn't you say you had a couple of stories to share in Mayhem?
I
Joey?
like having our guests go ahead and tell us, man. That's fun whenever we get that.
Well,
so,
sure.
We're gonna have Stephanie do that. I did want to say real fast though. This is kind of fucked up, but I thought this was kind of fucking funny. I don't know. So last week, whenever Pete uploaded the last podcast, there was a section where CK's audio was off by like 2 minutes or something like that. If any of you heard that, you heard that. But if not,
I
we
fixed
corrected
it, so
that,
it's correct.
But so I'm sitting there listening to this shit in my apartment, and like, I knew shit was fucked up because there was a conversation me and CK were having, and his audio wasn't there. So at first I thought his audio just wasn't there. Then I heard it pop up later on, and I was like, oh, okay. So I knew what happened. But holy shit, there was a couple. I listened to the whole thing like that.
Right.
I didn't turn it off. So like, it was kind of fucked up in parts, and I'm just trying to think of what other people are thinking. But holy shit, there's this one part where I brought up the death of this one gentleman who passed away from the metal scene last week in Texas.
Yeah.
And I was like bringing it up. I'm like, yeah, so this guy, he passed away. Yeah. And all of a sudden right there, CK's voice comes in. Ha 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 ha. And he's just laughing. And I was like, it's fucked up and that's dark as hell. And, but the way that it came out, I was like, if anybody else heard it like that, they're just like, what the fuck, CK?
Yeah, what the hell's wrong with you, dude?
But anyway, I almost thought about keeping that version of it just because there was a couple other things that he said, I can't remember, but it was just kind of funny how it played in, and you're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Right? That's funny. Anyway, yeah, you texted me, and I had just heard it myself. I'm like, oh my God, I got to change that.
No, laughing after this. I was like, oh my God.
That's horrible.
So
I did not, I don't remember that, so that's just fucked up. Yeah, that is crazy. So, Stephanie, we got a story to tell?
Yeah. So mine won't be as cool as Justin Morris's drilling holes in the garage.
Right. That was a good one.
So
that was a good one.
When I was a student, so I'm an X-ray tech, and
Paul Bateson.
Right. You're the female Paul Bateson. Okay.
And I had to get this lady from the emergency room, so I took her gurney into the X-ray room, and I had to do an X-ray of her abdomen. So she's about 450 pounds. So she stands up off the cart and pulls her dress out of her rolls, and out falls this crusty piece of poop from a fat roll.
Oh,
and I happened to step in it.
Oh, damn.
So I'm mortified because, I'm still a student. Like, I haven't dealt with anything gross yet. And I said, I just stepped in poop. So this crusty piece of poop came out of a fat roll. God knows how long it was there. Yeah. And so I got pulled aside after I did the x-ray and everything, and I got scolded for saying that I stepped in poop in front of a patient. Wow. But yeah, it was pretty gross.
That is pretty fucked up. What did she do? Was she all freaked out?
No, I don't even know that she heard me. So, but
I mean that it happened. Like,
or did she not even notice?
No, she didn't notice.
Oh,
no,
okay,
no.
okay.
The hygiene was not there. It's like sugar babe hygiene.
Gotcha.
So.
But wait, that's not the only.
The other story. Okay, so there was this lady. She was a bigger lady too, not as big, but she was a little mentally slow, and I had to do a CAT scan on her. She's like, yeah, my belly's been hurting down low for quite a while, and my mom told me I should come in to here and get checked out. And so she stood up, and as soon as she stood up, pus just fell out of the fat flap onto the floor.
Oh my God.
Out of her belly before she laid down. Yeah, so she had like a huge open sore. I deal with a lot of gross stuff, so I like all the gross stories, but yeah.
That's nasty.
The smell of that.
Yes.
Yeah, that had to be pretty rough.
Yeah. Some pretty nasty smells. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I don't know if I want to drink a milkshake right now.
Tampon closet.
Gross you out.
Tampon closet was good. So, yeah, some pretty gross stuff, but hey, that's what we do here in Mayhem.
She was telling me, I was like, you're going to be on the episode with us. You know some gross shit. I was like, you got to tell us some shit.
Right. That's funny. All right, now we were going to have CK try to get WVK to say a few words, but we're going to have to wait a week because CK's not feeling up to it, and I'm sure WVK's taking full advantage of the extra time down there on the speed bag and whatever else he's doing in that dungeon to get ready for his fight. Maybe. We don't know, but old Creole calls him out, so we'll see. Now, last week, Joey, you and I recorded episode 10 of The Voice of Dread.
Yeah.
And that one just came out yesterday and was your birthday yesterday.
It
so
was.
Happy belated.
Thank you.
And kind of funny how the episode came out on your birthday. Episode 10 on the Exorcist franchise. So that was cool.
I haven't got a chance to go back and listen to it yet because I've been a little busy, but I do, since we did it so recently.
Yeah.
I do think we did a pretty cool job with that. And if you dig The Exorcist at all, like the book or the movie franchise.
Yeah, we talk about all the sequels and the prequels and the TV show and the original and the book and all sorts of stuff. So
I mean, it's only like a little over a half hour and shit.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot to do with The Exorcist. So.
Yeah, if you dig that, go check it out, voiceofdread.com. All right, killer cage match to get to tonight. Of course, Killer Cage Match is a fun part of the show because we get to get our listeners some participation here, and we thanked them earlier, but let's thank them again, Steph. Who's our listeners that contributed some random numbers for us?
It is Samantha Cram, Rebecca Boomsock, and Steve Myers.
Hell yeah. And we take their random numbers. We ask them to give us a number between 1 and 70. And that's how we pick which killers, because we get this list we came up with and the list of the objects. And tonight, Joey, we've got an interesting matchup here in the cage, an all-Texas match.
All-Texas match. And, of course, this month we're going to use our main feature as one of our battle options, and that's Andrea Yates, of course, if you've been listening to tonight's podcast.
Right.
And she's going to be fighting another Texas fucking psycho, though.
Damn.
Carla Faye Tucker.
Oh, shit.
You better hope that she don't have no fucking
pickaxe. Yeah, because she likes to orgasm when she's killing somebody,
she
so
does.
That's pretty fucked up.
I mean, I do too.
Who doesn't, right? So tonight, though, we got a couple of interesting objects, Stephanie. What are they going to be fighting with tonight?
There is a can of corn and a pair of needle nose pliers.
Oh, okay. But the variable, Stephanie, is extra fucked up, catered to tonight.
For you.
It is the zombie children of Andrea Yates.
Oh, damn.
Shit.
So, Joey, talk about adding a whole guilt trip wrinkle into this one. You got Andrea Yates fighting Carla Faye Tucker in a steel cage to the death with a can of corn and a pair of needle nose pliers, which could get ugly up close and personal. And unfortunately, though, for Andrea, she's got her zombie children running around the cage.
So
that is fucked up. So, Joey, what do you think here, man?
I mean, I'm going to have to give it a... I mean, Carla Faye Tucker against Andrea Yates, I'm going to go Carla Faye Tucker anyhow.
Okay.
If you just put them both in their prime, she
would have been more physical.
Oh, man, she lived that life.
Right.
She was an old lady to the biker gang.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She fucking knew how to fucking hold her own. I'm sure Andrea Yates, she was fucking crazy and she fucking drowned her kids, but that's probably the extent of the fucking physical abuse that she could do,
Right.
or physical fucking damage, I guess I'm saying. She wasn't a very strong person, is what I'm saying. So I think Carla Faye could kill her. I think Carla Faye is going to be quick on the draw, grabbing those needle nose pliers and corn, fucking bashing the fuck out of fucking Andrea Yates while she's coming the whole goddamn time, and her fucking Andrea Yates kids are just behind her fucking cheering her on, fucking kill that whore, kill that bitch,
Stephanie, what do you think? I mean, anything to add? Joey always comes up with some interesting stories here.
Mine's going to be short and simple. I think the zombie children are just going to eat Andrea Yates.
Oh,
and
okay.
then Carla Faye wins by default.
There you go.
Okay, well, that's very possible. I got to give the physical upper hand definitely to Carla Faye.
Right.
And I think you're right, Joey. I think she's going to get to the can of corn and the needle nose, but my only concern is Andrea Yates. She's got the mental issues going on, and I think she could maybe just like in a rage, maybe try to get the zombie children to listen to her one more time.
She is their mom,
right?
Regardless.
So if she can win over the zombie children, they may be able to take Carla Faye. But other than that, I don't see Andrea winning this one. So. All right. Well, very good. We'll keep doing the all-female killer cage matches this month as we go through these awful women that we've been talking about. Got a couple more yet to go.
Yeah, we went from a drowning tonight to a drowning next week with Susan Smith.
That's right. So we'll see who's with Susan Smith in the cage next week. So
let's have we'll do a fucking commercial about fucking a contest for the best drowning, Susan Smith or Andrea Yates.
Oh, shit.
That'd be so funny.
Like a debate?
Yeah.
Oh, like a debate
No,
club?
this is how you hold their head down. Oh, no, that's fucked up. All right.
All right. Well, I think we've done plenty of mayhem tonight, so let's hit that outro. All right, that was Chrissy and Joey. So fucking brutal, man. Devouring Faith. Those guys are nasty.
Yeah, they're heavy as fuck.
Another Brazil band. We've been doing all Brazil bands tonight. Of course, we were supposed to do a Courses feature, but these guys are all so badass. We're going to have them back all next week. Same three bands. We'll throw down different tracks, but that was Christian. So very killer band. All right, the bumper music tonight, Courses, Christian, and Cangaço, all Brazilian metal, so that's fucking cool. And thanks to Antonio from Courses for even mentioning the Cangaço band. They're just so good.
That's what's always so cool. Whenever you do these interviews with these other people from other places, then you find out what they're listening to.
Right. Yeah, I always ask them, what are bands that you're listening to that are that I don't know about?
Right.
New bands coming up, that kind of thing. We'll have the feature on Courses next week, and we'll play that clip from the interview we did with Antonio. And that episode actually, that interview will come out the day after the episode with them as the feature.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. And thank you, Stephanie, for coming in and sitting with us, taking Chris's seat over there and living up to expectations with some good input. So thank you very much. Very, very cool.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And you brought some gifts. This stuff actually isn't bad. I'm not a beer drinker. Everybody that knows me knows that. But you brought this can in here with the plague mask on it, which is cool. And it's a beer. It's a pistachio cream ale, and it's actually not too bad. It's actually pretty good. Jenny wanted to try some, so I told her I wouldn't finish it, but it's very good. I would have drank the whole thing had she not wanted some. So,
glad you liked it.
So thank you, and I'll make sure I put it out here so everybody can enjoy. We got the plague mask in here. I got a thing for plague doctors. So very cool. And again, Josh from Georgia, we'll get you on again. Sorry for the connection problems. But we also have Chris Werstrom, the winner of Hell Coming, who's going to be on with us next month. And hopefully we don't have the same problems there. So unfortunately, can't control internet connections and cell phone towers and shit like that. So, all right, Joey, who does CK's intro music?
Chrysix.
Hell yeah. And the Murder Metal Mayhem intro, Stephanie, is by who?
Low 12.
That's right. And the 666 music by our friends in Onslaught over there in the UK. And go check out RottenCotton.com for being a sponsor for us and the Voice of Dread. Killer stuff, t-shirts, stickers, buttons. You dig serial killers? Man, they got a fucking Carl Panzram shirt, which I think I'm going to get.
Yeah.
They got an Albert Fish shirt, which is so brutal I can't wear it because it says the eating kids on the back. I can't do it.
My sister, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, please.
She wore that Albert Fish shirt.
Oh, man.
To her daughter's first doctor's appointment.
Oh.
And she tells that story all the time of how she was so proud that she wore that Albert Fish shirt.
Oh, my God. I've got an Albert Fish shirt, but not the one that says that on the back about the eating the kids.
I could have fucked her, though I chose not to.
Yeah, pretty bad. So anyway, if you dig fucking, well, I've got the Grace Budd letter up there on the wall.
I know, I love it.
With the... stuff they've got on their website. If you go on there, you order $20 or more of stuff, you get a 15% off 15%. By using that code, Mayhem. And get some stuff, RottenCotton.com, and score a good discount at that. So really good deal. Quality's really good. They get the stuff out. Been real happy with them. So.
And that's cool. They're sponsoring us and the Voice of Dread. So.
Right. Also a sponsor of us, spellboundeffectsandart.com. Tony Campagna, just churning out the gore. Yeah. Love it. He's got some of the coolest custom stuff he does. Now he's doing the escape room stuff, fucking dead baby heads and friggin' zombies and just all sorts of shit like Ed Gein would have been making in his kitchen there in Plainfield. So go check it out, spellboundeffectsandart.com. Thanks for everybody out there listening. We do really appreciate it. Very humbling to see the kind of numbers rolling in. Voice of Dread has been slow out of the gates with the number of listens, but comparing it to Murder Metal Mayhem. But Murder Metal Mayhem has been around for 3 years, and we've built quite the following, and we appreciate that very much. So got some good listeners to thank. Steph, you want to read that first one?
Sure. Thomas Schlesinger commented, I'm a new listener from the Netherlands. After I read you were going to interview Patrick from Pestilence, my favorite metal band. You guys are fucking great. Love the metal you play.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Thomas, or Tomas. I'm not sure how he says that, but that's cool. And we're going to be doing the interview with Patrick here coming up soon. Hopefully get this connection issue square before we try to do that, but anxious to do that. So, Joey, what about the next one?
Joe Falcone.
Hey.
He commented, every time I get
I know, you do get those.
All right, I'm going to leave this guy alone. I went hard with Benny from the Bronx, or whatever that last one was.
Queens.
Yeah, Queens. But Joe Falcone, he commented, he was Joe Falcone. All right. So I heard about you from a friend at work, and I've been hooked for a month now. I'm in Florida now, but originally from Indiana. I can relate to you guys from the Midwest, and that's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah, Joe. Thank you very much. All right. Aaron Gallagher, 77, commented and said, this is my new favorite podcast on true crime. I'm not a metalhead. I thought this was cool, but I do like hearing you talk about the bands and some of the interesting things about their careers. Keep up the great work. And I'm a listener from Fort Worth, Texas. So thank you, Aaron. That's very cool. And the fact that she's not into metal, but still listens to the whole show. That's fucking cool, because I think some people might bow out maybe after the true crime section and murder. Right. But hey, that's cool. And then the last one there, Steph?
Mary Quite Contrary.
I like that one.
Commented, the Killer Cage matches are my favorite. I really like the punky and WBK stuff. And now the new guy, Old Creole.
Hey!
Cajun.
You guys just keep getting better each week. I've been listening for 2 years now, and you never disappoint.
Thank you, Mary.
Hell yeah, that's very cool, Mary. All right. Well, don't forget to check us out at murdermetalmayhem.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check us out all sorts of places: Amazon Music, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, iTunes, and more. Leave us comments and rate us. That helps spread the word. And that 666 Club, we keep talking about it, but it's worth it. $3 a month, patreon.com/murdermetalmayhem.
You have testimony from Stephanie from Toledo.
That's right.
Worth the $3.
It is. And it's, a little VIP access, and it helps us out, pay some bills, because it's not free to put a podcast on. All right, you can go to PeteAltieri.com if you want to pick up one of my books. I got a new one coming out here next month, Creation of Chaos 3. Not set the firm release date, but looking at June 25th right now. But we'll see once the proof comes in, once the order is placed, we'll have a firm date for you. And then we're going to do a cool give for the advanced orders, Joey.
Yeah.
They're going to get the book as soon as I get them. So they'll probably get them before the release date. But then they get a free audio book and a free Blunt Force Press t-shirt while they last.
That's
so
awesome.
For free, all you got to do is advance order the book.
Hell
I'm trying to do something cool like that. So you get the audio book, which is going to be wicked. I got Brad Tucker he did A Dreadful Life and the 666 Express, plus the bonus track of us all doing the 666 Express with the Malice's Wake and all that will be a bonus. So they get to hear like a quote unquote normal version of it and then a crazy version of it like we did on the podcast. So that's all part of that.
I didn't realize that. I had gotten my mom Chaos 2. Of course, I did the artwork for that one.
Right.
I think that was like originally why I got her that one. And I got her Enoch Strange. She liked both those books. And I didn't realize that I hadn't got her Collection of Chaos 1 yet.
Right.
So I picked that up from you recently, and that was one of the things I gave her for Mother's Day this year.
Nice.
So I was stoked. So now I'm excited for this one to come out,
Hell
so
yeah.
I can maybe give her this one on her birthday or something.
Oh, sweet, sweet. Yeah. So this is exciting when you work on something for a solid year and then finally see it coming out. I'm lining up some interviews, doing one with a Canadian radio station that I know through the heavycore days. Which will be cool. So, yeah, it's going to be good. All right, voiceofdread.com. If you dig horror, I do some good topics there every other week on Mondays. Just did the one with you, Joey, and the next one I'm going to do a reading of The Creep, and I'm going to use the little background and little fill in the blanks about that story, but that's one of my new stories and one I really like the way the audio turned out for it, so you get to hear that. All right, we can't let him go, though, without hearing a karaoke song. I did this one especially for Andrea Yates. I said I would, even though it was an awful fucking taste. But, when you're talking about some crazy woman drowning kids in a bathtub, you got to try to at least have some sort of sense of humor about the whole situation. So crank it up. And until next time, keep one foot in the gutter. And Joey?
Keep your fist holding your stupid-ass fucking kid's head underwater till they turn blue.
Splash, splash, I was taking a bath long about a Saturday night. Yeah, a Ramadan, just relaxing in the tub, thinking everything was alright. Well, I stepped out the tub and put my feet on the floor, wrapped the towel around me and I opened the door. And then a splash, splash, I jumped back in the bath. Well, how was I to know there was a party going on? There was a splishing and a splashing, reeling with the feeling, moving and a grooving, rocking and a rolling. Fuck yeah! I saw the whole gang dance on my living room rug. Yeah, flip-flop, they were doing the bop. All the teens had the dancing bop. There was a lollipop with a piggy shoe. Golly, Miss Molly was even there too. Well, splash, splash, I forgot about the bath. I went and put my dancing shoes on. Yeah. I was rolling and a strolling, reeling with the feeling, moving and a grooving, splishing and a splashing. Yeah! Splishin and a splashin', rolling and a strolling. Yeah, I was a moving and a grooving. We was reeling, we were rolling, strolling, moving with the grooving. Splish, splash, yeah. Splishin and a splashin', one time. Splishin and a splashin', away. Splitting and a grooving, fuck yeah. Splishin and a splashin', murder metal man.